Hello, adventurers, and welcome to Dice Pirates Duet, a D&D actual play. My name is Lisa Treadway, and above me is my lovely husband, Kevin.
Hello.
If you haven't watched this before, we are playing through the adventure included with the new Dungeons & Dragons Essentials Kit, the Dragon of Icespire Peak. This may be a bit different from other actual play sessions you've seen because we are using the new sidekick rules that came in that Essentials kit to play the game one-on-one, or more poetically, as a duet.
I noticed that Icespire is giving you a bit of a conniption.
It is a little bit. I keep wanting to say Ice Pyre or Ice Spire.
Well, that's not the only issue we've been having with this adventure. Coming from the DMing side, we're doing our best to follow the adventure's recommendations for sidekicks. But if you've been reading reviews, you may already know that the sidekick rules of this kit are more of an afterthought than a detailed guide. It's honestly a shame because I suspect a lot of a player's very first experience with D&D will be a situation like this. Way back in the 80s when I had Redbox D&D, my first experience was my brother running me through an adventure. So I know that this is like a pretty common way to be introduced to the system. Nevertheless, we're going to rewire, and as we need to make adjustments, I'll do my best to point out where we started to implement house rules to make one-on-one play go more smoothly. Starting out, we're going to sort of follow what they recommend and then kind of adjust as we see how it works. Okay, we're using Roll20, and most of our combat rolls will be made in that software, but I will still be relying on good old-fashioned notes for my adventure, and I will also be relying on dice for secret rolls because that's rolling behind the screen is one of the most fun things to do. Um, some of our combat will be with full tokens, but many encounters will take advantage of 5th edition's innate flexibility and be conducted in the theater of the mind. So even though our sidekick rules are a little lighter than I would have hoped, I'd still like to thank the lead writer of this adventure, Christopher Perkins, and the undeniably talented team who worked on the Essentials kit. Within Roll20 itself, I'm also adapting some of Jeff Preston's so-called 60 terrible character portraits. That's actually where we get Yezreel from, and I love that picture.
I love the portrait for both Yezreel and Rhythm, honestly. So
Yeah,
they're
that's
pretty
true.
great.
Yes, and rhythm too. And a few sets purchased from the Roll20 Marketplace: Meditating Monkeys token borders, Gabriel Pickard's Vile Tiles, and the D&D Monster Manual. The lovely illustration of Lisa's character, as always, was created by Lisa herself. Okay, so let's get started. I'm the Dungeon Master of this adventure, and Lisa is playing Quel, or Quel for short, a half-orc paladin of Ilmater. And let's go ahead and get into our gameplay screen. There we go. Now, the the prior session, where you first set out from Waterdeep, Neverwinter. You notice that there's a lot of like two noun cities in Forgotten Realms.
Yeah.
Neverwinter. Is was an experience in and of itself. A dangerous encounter with a half-frozen bear certainly got the heart racing, but in truth, the difficulties with your newly assigned retainers and the elusive Harbin Wester probably felt like the greater challenge. Your spellcaster, Pete, had to be bodily tackled off of a wagon after overindulging in ale, and your expert retainer, Yezreel, still can't make eye contact with you without sneering. And as for Harbin Wester, he can't make eye contact with you either, literally because he's barricaded himself behind his door and will only conduct business through 4 inches of oak. Nevertheless, despite the challenges, Fandolin has tasks that need to get done if it is to be prepared for a potential dragon attack. Pragmatically, you've selected a task that you're able to attend to at once. What is Quell trying to do?
I'm taking Pete with me because I have to leave one retainer. Rhythm asked me to leave. One of us has to stay in the town. But Pete and I are going to go south of town to visit the midwife, Adabra Gwyn, and persuade her to come and move back into town. Because while there's a dragon around, it's not really safe to kind of live off on your own where nobody can help you.
So, with hopes that the that what's to come might go a little more smoothly than your journey has so far, with Pete in tow, heavy spellbook slung on his back, you resplendent in your brand new Bringer chainmail, holy symbol conspicuously displayed, set forth from Phandalin. Following a road that naturally heads south in the hopes of being able to easily find Umbridge Hill and get this Adabra to listen to common sense, basically. On the upside, it is a sunny day. The temperature is not too extreme. It's actually lovely. And the late morning is just getting ready to give way to afternoon as you leave the main area of Phandalin behind you. And this is perhaps the first moment since you set out that the pleasant breeze, the nice weather has enabled you in some way to relax or just take a moment to collect yourself. And of course, these moments in your life, it seems lately, are short lived, and this is no exception because suddenly, quite suddenly, you feel this energy suddenly like spring forth inside you, like a wellspring almost. It seems to come from directly in the center of your body and courses through your limbs, and it is so sudden and kind of unusual that you stumble. It's not uncomfortable, but it's unnerving. This sudden strange sensation going through you. It's like you're touching the edge of some kind of vast power so massive that you couldn't possibly comprehend it. And it's not like it's not going away. It's kind of just there. It's almost like you can feel it soaking into the outer layers of your skin. You look and see that your arms are like goosebumped and it's just it feels extraordinarily strange. Pete basically sees that you've stopped and he turns back and just kind of like narrows his eyes and just says, "What is it?"
Uh, I don't know. Just something. I don't know.
Something?
I, I just had a strange feeling. That's all. Not
Strange feeling, huh? What does it feel like?
like like an energy.
He like he like sort of like looks at you for a second, and then he kind of just says, "Up and down the limbs. Do you feel it in your
Yeah.
thumb, your fingers, like it's kind of swirling underneath your palm?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the weave you're feeling.
The weave.
Magic. You're feeling magic. Have you been practicing to cast spells? I know you're a paladin.
Well, I mean, I've been saying the words and saying the prayers and studying, the precepts of Ilmater. Uh,
Yeah.
I've read the spells. I've studied, of course, studied, the spells that paladins, we do, but
Pete nods and he basically says, "Think about the spells again. Go over the words in your head. Are they different? Do they seem to kind of glow?"
and she kind of like she kind of she closed her eyes a little bit and she kind of thinks like, yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Looks like that god of yours has finally decided to favor you. He basically like reaches out and taps the red cord around your wrist, which is of course the symbol of Ilmater that many of his followers wear. And you are dumbfounded. You are completely dumbfounded because you don't wear one of those cords.
oh,
Anyway, I guess that means things might get a little easier. Maybe I can take a break. And he turns and like walks off without another word.
I kind of whisper a a word of thanks to the crying god, and I'm still kind of and I continue walking on, and still kind of like looking down at that cord on around my wrist.
Yeah, it's definitely a sign that you've been doing well in Ilmater's eyes as you continue to advance your skills as a paladin, and as you draw closer to the moment where you will basically pledge your service like Ilmater. And for those of you playing at home, what this of course means is that Quel is now level 2, and as a paladin, she now has the ability to begin casting magical spells. Which is good because considering the circumstances and what is arrayed against her and her friends, that's I don't know. Is friends
Yeah,
the right word? It's probably a little
companions,
companions.
companions. Maybe I'm hoping one day we'll be friends, or at least friendly companions, friendlier companions.
Colleagues.
Yes.
Okay, making a roll. All right. So the your feeling of sort of awe uh, is enough to sustain you for as long as the road lasts. But after about 20 minutes, the road itself peters out, and you're not really sure exactly which way to go from here. There are still a few isolated farms that seem to be active and inhabited, or you could sort of look backwards towards the town, look to where the sun is, and do your best to kind of just navigate there on foot.
Well, I know she's supposed to be on the side of a hill, but in a stone windmill. Do I see anything like that?
Not
I
from
mean,
where
a
you're at.
wind.
You're in a very hilly country, though. It could be right over the next rise. Like you don't see anything from where you're at right now.
Okay, well, I'll try to make sure we're still going south, and maybe try to like top the next rise and see if we can't get a better view
Okay, so
of the
you're
area.
not gonna like ask for help. You're just gonna basically try to.
Let's like
Okay,
go up to the next rise
go
first.
ahead and make me a survival check, and let's see how good Quell is at land navigation today.
Well, the good news is wisdom.
So, after another 20 minutes, you get to the top of a hill, and you don't. You can still see Fandolin. It's not like it's that bad, but you kind of stand there for a minute. You sort of look in one direction, and then look in another direction, and that's about the point where Pete says, "Do you know where you're going?"
I have an idea of where we're going. She's supposed to be head just a few miles south of Fandolin. How good are you at are you at navigation?
You tell me, Lisa. How good is he at navigation? It would be his survival skill.
Um, he doesn't have very many skills, but he definitely doesn't have survival.
What's the controlling attribute for survival?
It's wisdom.
So
He actually does have pretty good wisdom.
what's his wisdom? Plus two.
Plus two.
Plus two. Okay, well go ahead and roll wisdom for Pete. Let's see if he's got a good sense of it. Okay, so basically, like as soon as you basically say do you have anything? He just like points. It should be that way.
Thanks.
Don't mention it. So with like Pete kind of partially leading you guys head down into another shallow valley, up over a rise, and thankfully at that point you do in fact see a windmill. And
Okay.
let's get that on the board. Okay. And there we go. There is Umbridge Hill. You at this point your party is further away than that. You're probably like let's see here. You're probably, somewhere right around here. And so at first you see like this really relatively tall, broad hill, and in the far distance, past this ancient windmill, you could also see these cairns of stone. It looks like some kind of truly ancient graveyard. The windmill itself is downslope from that and looks not as old as these really like ancient grassed over cairns, but like still well over 100 years old. This massive stone windmill. Its blades currently not moving, even though there is a steady breeze, and a crumbling foundation that used to serve as some sort of house. But right for now, all you see is the windmill itself.
Okay. Well, let's head up the hill then.
You and Pete walk down the slope and into the depression below the hillside, and just as you start up towards this windmill, you suddenly hear this loud doom. Like it's like bassy, like this loud just kind of crack that echoes across the hillside.
Uh, do I see anything?
Make a perception check. Basically, like you are looking, for just a second, you see a black shadow, sort of like suddenly flip around the corner of the windmill, like right. Hold on, let me see, right about here, and like you just see it, like just like a partial sudden shape, and then a moment later you hear another doom, and that's when you realize it's coming from the direction of like the windmill itself.
Okay. Can I use divine sense to
Okay,
sense like
so you have your character sheet. Go ahead and describe what divine sense is and how it works.
the presence of strong evil registers on your senses like a noxious odor and powerful good rings in like heavenly music in your ears. As an action, you can open your awareness to detect such forces. Until the end of your next turn, you know the location of any celestial, fiend, or undead within 60 feet of you that is not behind total cover.
Okay, so 60 feet would be the limit, and that would be 10, 20, right about to the edge of this little fence here. But more importantly, if this creature, whatever it was, whatever you glimpsed, was completely behind this windmill and you couldn't see it, it would also
Right.
not be able to be detected.
Okay, yeah, I just saw that. Okay.
Pete gives you this like nervous look, and just as you hear "thoom" roll across the hillside again, he asks, "What do you want to do?"
Hmm. Well, we need to find out what it is. So stay close. Let's head up.
Okay, so
But
you're
I'm gonna like I'm gonna get my kind of loosen my sword and its scabbard and
okay. So how are you going to head up the hill? Like what's the direction of approach you would like to take? And don't forget, I believe you can also ping the map if you want to show sort of like point something out to me or point a direction.
okay, so
I think you just have to hold down. You basically click and hold. There you go.
okay, so that corner was where I saw it kind of disappear to.
Mm-hmm.
What if we kind of like kind of moved around the hill,
Like
kind
the
of
base of the
there?
hill. Okay.
Yeah, move around the base of the hill, like kind of there, so we can maybe see what's going on over there.
Okay. Trying to be stealthy.
Yeah.
Okay, I want you to go ahead and make a stealth check for both you and Pete as you kind of keep low, hunker down, and head along the base of the hill.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Stealth is Dex, so it's just gonna be a pure Dex roll for Pete.
Okay, so a 7 to 9, as you say, is not great, but that's going to be countered by the perception roll of anything over there. Okay, so you basically kind of crouch low. Honestly, the grass is not very like deep, and so you're pretty sure you're pretty visible. But you quickly sort of hunker down, going wide to try and see if you can detect what on earth is on the other side of this windmill. By the time you get there, you can see what's on the other side of this windmill, and even from this distance, it's even from far away, it's pretty visible, meaning it is quite large. You see a massive winged creature that is essentially centered right around this area, and it is like it's four-legged. It's got a massive tail with a big, bulky sort of nodule at one end, and these two and wings, and it is flying away from the front of this building, and then kind of cartwheels in the air, spins around, flies back, and then hits the door of the windmill hard enough for dust to fall from the mortar and the bricks. Boom! Make a nature check to identify what you're looking at. Okay, so you know what this is, and your your morale sinks. It's a manticore. Um,
Oh.
yeah, not great. A true monster, humanoid head, body of a lion, wings of a dragon, and just very very nasty. Let me see if I can't get this. There you go.
Ew.
Yeah, yeah. It's a truly monstrous creature. They are definitely evil. They are predators. They are highly dangerous. This is not like a goblin or a kobold situation. These things are very dangerous. They often work together, though you do not see more than one here, and you do know that that weird human-esque face does have some intelligence. It's not a dumb creature. It can speak. It can understand. It often will taunt its prey and victims. So it's not completely unintelligent.
Okay. Okay. So, I'm gonna try. So we'll try to talk to the Manticore. I mean,
Okay.
I don't.
Go ahead and make a nature roll for Pete as well. If he rolls
Okay.
higher, he might have. I mean, Pete, just look at him. He's clearly seen a lot of the world.
Right. Right. He doesn't have nature. He does have arcana, but what's nature is intelligence. He is pretty smart. So
He's okay. He knows about as much as you do. Um, like from what you know or remember, they're nasty and they're mean tempered. They are also somewhat cowardly. Depending, in other words, they're very much opportunistic.
okay, maybe we can intimidate it.
So when you say that you're going to, are you saying that out loud?
Just kind of muttered that under my breath. Maybe you can scare it off.
Oh, what do you want me to do? Stick my arms up and make myself big?
No, but can you like look intimidatingly wizardly?
He kind of like looks up the Manticore and then looks at you. Ah, the Elder Magus routine, huh?
Something like that.
God's help us. He pulls his hood up over his head and grabs his staff and kind of slides down it till he's hunched over and kind of makes himself almost look more feeble, but the effect that you get immediately is, why would some feeble old wizard be out here in a dangerous place like this? It's, you can see exactly what he's going for, the whole I don't need to look powerful because I have all the magic at my fingertips. All right.
Okay.
So he basically leans down and says, "All right, Paladin, it's your show. I'll follow behind."
Okay. And in my case, I will stand up very straight. I won't even I'll just have my hand on the hilt of my sword, but not have it out,
Okay.
unsheathed. And in kind of the loudest, most bellowy battlefield voice, it's like I would just say, "You Manticore."
Okay. So I assume you're walking closer as you get to this. So
Yes,
okay.
yes, kind of like a confident stride.
Okay. So by the time the two of you get to right here, two things happen. One, the Manticore spots you, and before you can make the call, the other thing is right on the side of the windmill, you see a window at the bottom. There are two shutters. The shutters open, and you see a human woman like lean out, and she points in the direction of the Manticore and says, little help here?" And that's the moment when you say,
Here, Manticore, over here.
so it lands, and like, boom, dust flies up around its paws, and it kind of wanders and then makes these little sinuous turns, like it's like got a lot of energy to spare, and it kind of sits on its haunches for a second, tail whipping back and forth, and you can see on the tail are these spikes, because you know that the Manticore can fling these spikes from its tail quite far. You're well within range. But it sort of considers you for a moment, and then it kind of trots down the hillside and like stops right in front of the crumbled stone fence and says, "Yes, meat."
Do you have a name?
Skull is my name, meat.
My name is Quel. I'm a paladin of Ilmater.
He growls again at the name of Ilmater.
Why are you bothering this woman?
I'm hungry.
Surely a predator such as yourself could find better prey than one human woman.
I used to be the king of the mountains. I hunted from horizon to horizon until the dragon came. He claims the Sword Mountains and has pushed us out. And then he snarls again. That tail flips back and forth. You can tell he's really quite upset about that.
Yeah, that sounds really frustrating, but still, one human woman, it can't be a good meal for you.
You think maybe a human male and a half-orc would taste better? Meat?
I'm awfully stringy and he's worse. Surely, I mean, are there no better hunting grounds than this?
So like Pete had this whole time just kind of he's got his hand on like sort of on your shoulder, like he's partially blind with like, and he's still playing up the whole like I'm an elder magus thing. Like, and so you see the Manticore's eyes like sort of flicking at him, but he's not really sure what to make of him yet, or exactly what's going on here. But and so he considers you for a moment, and then he says, "You want me to move on?"
Yes.
You can pay me to move on.
What would your price be?
50 gold pieces. And like Pete mutters to you, "That's all our money."
I kind of muttered back, I know, but... Okay. On your words, Skull. Is that correct?
Don't give away all our money, gods. At least negotiate.
50 gold. What about 40?
You hear go Pico, "What about 10? So it's like
I kind of nudge him a little.
so its tail like flips back and forth. So I mean, are you trying to play it like totally cool, like the Manticore is mostly just this kind of an inconvenience for you?
I'm trying to play like I'm totally cool, like I could totally whoop this Manticore's butt, but I don't want to be violent. I want to be diplomatic because I'm that kind of person. But
Okay.
that's why I got my sword. That's why I still got my sword in its sheath.
I mean, I could straight up kill you, Manticore, but I'm not that kind of person. I don't want to be. I'm trying to be better.
My sword's in its sheath, but I do have my hand on the hilt because I'm not dumb.
Okay, so go ahead and make an intimidation check, and that will be sort of countered by its what is it? Sense motive. No, no,
I think so. Yeah.
not sense motive. Look,
Insight.
insight. That's the one. Oh, a very respectable roll. And insight is intelligence.
Correct.
And for your and let's
Actually, sorry. Insight is wisdom.
okay. Well, all right. So the Manticore like blinks a few times, and its tail flips back, and then it basically like shakes its head and says, "40, bring it here."
Okay. I will reach into my pouch, pull out like 40 gold pieces. Actually, I reach my head, put out 40 gold pieces, kind of jingle them a bit, and I will kind of walk it. I'll kind of motion Pete to stay back, and I will like stride forward. I'll get right up.
Okay, so you so basically you reach into the pouch and you scoop out 4/5 of all the gold that you had for your entire stay in Phandalin and size it up. You marched directly to the fence while Pete seems only too happy to stay behind, and you get right up to him, and this crumbly stone wall separates the two of you, and like he smells like carrion, like rotten meat. It just sort of pours over you, and how are you just gonna kind of hold out your hand? You can set it down on the wall.
I basically before I do, I start to, but before I do, is and now on your word, Skull, I will give you the gold, and you will depart, and you will not bother these people, and you will not bother this woman anymore. Do I have your word?
You have my word. I will not seek this meal today or for the next 10 day. And I'll try to stay clear. I prefer easier prey. But if the pickings are slim, I guarantee nothing after a 10 day.
I understand. That is quite reasonable, and I will set the gold down kind of on the wall and step back. One
Okay,
step back.
so basically, like it sort of stares at the gold. It kind of moves its head, and then like walks up, and quite amazingly for this creature that almost has this leonine body, seems to have quite good hands. Scoops up the gold, kind of like opens up this massive clawed paw and looks at its eyes gleaming with avarice, and then it closes it over the gold, kind of like shakes its head again, massive wings like sprawl on either side, and then I mean you almost get bowled over by the wash of air as it takes to the sky, circles the windmill once or twice, and then flies off and disappears into the distance. Pete
So,
basically has already dropped the act. He's got his hood back and he's like walking up to you. Well, you did get it to go away. I'm pretty sure it would have made mincemeat of us, but
oh, I'm pretty sure it would have to.
I mean, Quel, those things are stupid. You probably could have paid half as much.
We'll
Ah,
get paid if we can get the midwife back to town. We'll get paid for that. Besides, I've lived on less.
oh, good. That's the best part about working for clerics and paladins. They just love sleeping in the dirt. All right.
Hey, it's not so bad. Kind of like I'll head up to the door of the house
Okay.
windmill.
So you basically like head up to the windmill, and by the time you arrive, the door is like already thrown open, and you see this woman in like homemade like clothing. Seems very well sort of like put together. She's got like she's got long bushy hair, and she's got herbs kind of tied into them. She's very much like kind of got this fantasy hippie vibe, and the relief on her face is completely like visible. And she says, "Thank Shantia that you came when you did. Gods, a Manticore! Please come inside."
Thank you very much. I'm Quel, and this is Pete.
Pleased to make your acquaintance. As you come inside, you see that this mill has been modified to do the things that she does as both a midwife and a like an herbalist. Like instead of being used to grind grain, she has various herbs like laid out on this wheel. And even as you watch, she pulls a rope off of a cog, and the windmill starts to turn and grind these herbs up into like materials and items like that. And she's already kind of distracted, and like you kind of like her. She has this very business-like, no nonsense way about her. So, are
Uh,
you here for a healing potion?
actually, you are a Dabra Gwyn, correct? I want to make assumptions.
I am Adabra Gwyn, and she like suddenly like sort of she goes back to a wall and pulls a bottle off of a shelf and presents it to you. Potion of healing on the house.
Oh, thank you very much. These do very much come in handy.
I thought I might have had to save them all for myself, but you have my gratitude. I do have more, but those are very expensive, and I'll have to charge. Let's see, what's her current prices? And I'll have to charge 50 gold pieces for additional ones. I'm afraid. Cost of business.
I understand. Actually, I'm here. I'm here actually to from on business from the town of Fandolin.
Mm-hmm.
They've asked actually. I'm here to try to persuade you to come back into town, at least while the dragon is in the area.
Oh, did Harbin Wester send you?
He's the one who put up the request. That yes.
Well, I'm sorry to have. I won't lie. I'm not sorry that you've come here. I'm, in fact, very grateful that you came. But I need this place to do my work, and I don't believe that my presence in or out of Phandalin would to make any difference if a dragon decides to swing by. So you can tell Harbin Wester that I have received the warning and am disregarding it. You do not have to tell him that I think he's a coward.
Oh, that's fine. I'm sure he, in his heart, he knows, but not the dragon. I'm thinking, but that Manticore is going to come back in about 10 days if he doesn't find better food and hunting elsewhere. And while being in town, Fandolin is. We can only right now hope that the dragon doesn't come to the town. I don't think a Manticore is going to attack the town. And I think you'd be safer there. Plus, I'm sure if there are injuries, um, your skills would be very, very welcome.
Hmm. Okay, let me check something here. Let's see. Lisa, make a persuasion check.
I'm actually pretty good at that too.
I
Isn't that
mean, you
great?
are a paladin. So you can see that your words are having an effect. She goes from like kind of standing there with her arms crossed to kind of loosens them up and puts them on her hips. And then finally she just kind of gives you this weary smile and says, "Your words make a lot of sense, but you have to understand that I'm concocting things here which are at a very delicate stage. Now, I listened to your negotiations with our friend the Manticore, and he said that for the next 10 days at least, he will leave this place alone. So I will tell you what I will do. I must remain here for now, but I will come back to Phandalin in the next 10 days. I can't guarantee I'll stay there for more than a few days, but I will come back before this negotiated time has expired. Does that sound good?"
Okay. Yes, that sounds good. That'll should give you time to. I wouldn't. I understand that your work is important. I wouldn't. So yes, as long as you can be in town before then, because I would hate to find. I would hate to find out that he came back.
I also would hate to find out that he came back. Here, she basically pulls a parchment and like a quill and quickly writes essentially like you know this is I have heard your warning. Thank you for sending the messenger. I will be coming into town within the next 10 day. Adabra Gwyn, and then like hands it to you.
I'll take it.
That should
And I,
satisfy the busybody.
his heart, I'm sure, is in the right
If
place.
you can find it underneath everything else. Well, Quill, did you say your name
Quel.
was?
Quel.
Quel. I'm grateful to you for your help. Does that does that mean you're a light bringer? She looks at the little pin that you have like affixed to your cloak.
I am, yes.
Uh, Light League. Seem like nice sorts.
We do our best.
Um,
Big smile.
oh, actually, I should say you're technically a bringer of light, but I can't help myself. I'm pedantic. So
I'm sure other people's like, the technical term is bringer of light. I'm sure other people say light bringer or
yeah,
bringer.
and every time you basically just have to be like, okay, just don't say it, don't correct. But she basically bids you farewell and thanks you again for your timely intervention in the Manticore situation.
All right. So,
So you two exit out, and as you're heading down the hill, Pete basically says like, if we just pretended that we paid that 40 gold pieces for a healing potion, technically we saved 10 gold pieces.
you know, that's true.
I'm I'm used to thinking in those terms in the last several years. I call it the coinage game, and sometimes it brings comfort even as one's belly is empty.
I'll have to remember that. I never played that game when I was younger, but yeah, I think I know the concept.
So, noble paladin, do you know the way back to town, or do I need to lead us there as well?
That's a good question. Can I see Fandolin from here,
No,
Kev?
like now that you know where the hills are, you're fine. It's not going to be an issue. He's definitely poking fun.
It's okay. Somehow like jibes from Pete don't bother me, you know?
Unlike jibes from a certain other person.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's just Pete is just unhappy with everything.
Maybe. Hold on a second. I must make a roll. Okay. You head back over the hill, and within an hour, you once again find yourself in the streets of Fandolin.
Okay.
And
Yay.
yeah, everything's just as fine. It's now heading into the early afternoon.
Okay, well, we'll head to the town master's hall with a Dabra's note, since I'm assuming that Herman Wester would all business should be handled at the town master's hall, and Herman Wester
Harbin.
Harbin
I mean, it's
Harbin.
hard to hear because he's muffled going through a door and all.
Right, right. So let's head to the town master's hall.
Okay, or the town master's hall or Harbin Wester's residence.
You know what? Let's head. Maybe I can persuade him to come out of the house. I've
I mean,
I've
you
just
could
negotiated with a
certainly
Manticore
try.
today.
You could try. Um, Before you're able to get back onto the main street that like winds through to Harbin Wester's house, you hear a voice behind you go. A like sudden voice behind you go. That was some surprising work. You recognize it immediately. It is, of course, Yezreel.
Okay. I
You
turn
you
around and I
turn
kind of
around
look at
and
her like really quizzically.
she's behind you, like kind of like Xing off of the side of the road, and she's wearing her armor. She's got her short bow slung, sword on.
Did you follow us?
I wanted to see how you would do in the field.
Okay, that's interesting. One of us really needs to be staying in town. At least one of.
I know, Quel, I know. We're supposed to be staying in town, and as much fun as it is to hang with a bunch of provincial backwaters, I just wanted to see how you would handle yourself when you're making the decisions.
And
I thought that you did well in avoiding a fight like that. I don't believe you or Pete would have fared well.
no, I don't think we would have.
How do you think you would have fared? Pete asks her, to which she just crooks one eyebrow and basically then looks at you. I will now resume finding more information about our colorful little town. And without waiting. Oh, sorry. Did you want to say something?
No. It's like, well, if you're that bored, you can come with me for the next trip.
She stops. Her shoulders are stiff, but she doesn't respond to the barb. She just lowers and keeps walking.
I just kind of like let her go, and I shake my head a little. It's like,
Okay, so she wanders off as you make your way to the very cozy little cottage of Harbin Wester.
all right, get to the door, give it a little.
So you pound on the wood, and like again, just like before, you hear like this loud thump. I mean, it really does sound like I don't know someone was in a chair dozing, and then when they hear a knock on the door, startles awake and possibly knocks a goblet over, and then like you hear more thuds, then finally footsteps and yes.
Town master, it's Quel.
Oh, yes, the paladin. How are
Yes,
you?
I'm fine. I went to speak to Dabra Gwyn.
Oh, lovely. Is she with you?
She is not with me right now, but I have a message here from her, a parchment where she swears that she will be in town within the 10-day.
I see. Um, Slide it under the door, please.
Very well.
Okay, so you
I
slide
slide it under the
you
door.
slide it under the door, and there's a pause of about 15-20 seconds, and then oh, very good. This is very good. Thank you for your help.
You're very welcome. And to collect the reward,
Oh, of course, the reward. Under the circumstances, with everything going on, it's very easy to be forgetful about those sorts of things. One moment. So you hear some more rummaging around inside, and then after a moment, you hear this loud thump, like someone's getting down on their hands and knees, and then a gold piece slides out from underneath the door, and then another gold piece slides out from underneath the door. And then another
and
gold piece slides out from underneath the door.
I'm just kind of muttering a prayer like, El Mater, give me patience, please.
So I mean, it's literally like you take he one gold piece at a time slides out. It takes over a minute to get paid, but ultimately you do collect the 25 gold pieces, and your now what was completely stripped budget is back up to a respectable. What would that be? 35 gold.
35 gold. Okay.
I'd like to thank you for all your assistance. You're really doing great things for our town.
Thank you for those words. Can I not persuade you to come out of your house?
Lisa, go ahead and roll a persuasion check, as you've been nothing but polite and pleasant. You cannot, but I thank you for the effort.
All right, then have a good evening.
So you turn to go, and then he calls back to the door. What? One moment. One moment.
All right, I'll come back to the door. Yes?
Are you going to be helping with the other activities?
Yes. I plan to, yes.
Good. if you refer to the board, you'll see what needs to be done. And while you're there, if you could go ahead and take down the notice about Umbridge Hill, that would be a big help for me.
Fine, I will do that.
Have a good day.
You as well.
All right, I'm going to take this quest note down since you have dealt with it most adroitly. And, oh, there we go. And what is your next move?
Well, I don't see the other ones. I'm trying to.
Are you gonna are you
I
gonna
mean, what?
are you
I
gonna
just
head
wanted
back to
to.
the town?
We're gonna head to the town. We're gonna head to the townmaster's hall. I
Okay.
will take down the one about Umbridge Hill. And
All right.
what time of day is it right now?
It is now about 3 p.m. or thereabouts.
Okay.
Now, hold on 1 second. Let me get the other. So you tear down the notice, and now are now 2 notices remaining on the board. Oh, that's the one you tore down. That one's not remaining on the board.
Nope.
Hold on. We're gonna get this right. That one's remaining on the board, but now you can't see it. Hold on. No one's perfect. There we go.
There we go.
Okay. So the two remaining quests are the need to warn a couple of dwarf prospectors that there has been a dragon. Apparently, they are quite involved in their work, and the other is to seek help at an unusual clan of gnomes.
Okay. I'll take a kind of stand there, kind of looking at them. I assume Pete's still with me.
Yeah, he's still with you.
After I look at them for a bit, I kind of turn to Pete and kind of gesture to him. It's like, what do you think, Pete? Do you have a preference on these two tasks?
He turns, looks, and it's really your call, Paladin. But I will say this: you got to be careful around gnomes. They are, especially the ones that get obsessed with magic and the like. They can pursue magic in ways that is dangerous and unusual. And I suppose if I can't stay here and you do go to Nomengard, you should take me. I feel that's yeah. You don't want to mess with gnome illusionists by yourself.
Oh, Nomengard it is
Hey,
then.
I didn't say Nomengard. I'm just saying if you went to Nomengard, I should go with you. I mean, if you want my opinion, maybe you should go warn the dwarves, and then I get to stay here. If you're if you're asking me, what I would prefer to do.
Well, you said it was like 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're both like hungry.
So basically, if you go inside, if you go inside the townmaster's hall and talk to the easily flustered aide just to get a little more details, you already know that the distances for these other two are significantly higher than that of Umbridge Hill, which is why
Right.
the gold pieces are more. Nomengard is a little further away than the dwarven excavation, but in both cases, you're going to be wanting to start early in the morning, and it's going to take you a half day roughly to get to where you need to go.
Okay. All right. So what we'll do, I think, is we'll have our meal, rest up here tonight. I'll see if I can find Yezreel and take her to go meet some dwarves, which should be highly entertaining just on its own. Setting out, early tomorrow. Let Pete stay in town, and so maybe he can actually get a little break from walking.
Okay, so are you going to tell Pete that?
Yes. Okay. It's like, okay. You know what? You you can stay in town. You can stay in town, and Yezreel and I will head out early tomorrow, to talk to the dwarf.
I think that's a fine idea, Paladin. A fine idea. So you basically you head back in. You get food. You get rested. You fortunately don't have to do much maintenance on your armor equipment because you didn't have to actually draw your sword in anger. And try to face down a Manticore. And that evening, Yezreel finally actually, let's. As you're finishing up, you know Yezreel comes in, and Toblin Stonehill, the innkeeper, kind of sees her. She orders food, takes it to a different table, and begins to eat. And Toblin sort of spies that, and then he kind of walks over to you, begging your pardon, Paladin. I thought you should know. Your companion purchased a room on her own.
Did she? I didn't think she had the
I,
gold for that.
Well, I mean, Lisa, you know that Yezreel comes from a very well-to-do family.
Right, yeah, she does.
So I mean,
Of
you
course.
don't.
Of course she has the gold for that.
I mean, yeah, that's not. You didn't know she had the gold, but you're not exactly surprised.
You know, that's actually will probably work out well. I mean, I see her over the. It's like that. Thank you for letting me know, and I'm gonna get up and go over to Yezreel's table.
So basically, she sees you, she sighs, puts down her fork, sort of like puts her hands together, and then like looks at you. Yes.
You know, I've actually have been thinking, and you're right. You've got to be really bored hanging around here. So eat up, rest up, because first thing at dawn tomorrow, you and I are heading out to go talk to some dwarves. Big smile.
You see her teeth clench, her eyes flutter, like she's trying very hard to master herself. And then finally, her eyes snap back open. She looks at you and simply says, teeth gritted, fine, and goes back to eating.
I'll let her go back to her meal.
And that is a good stopping point because next time we pick this up, you will be setting out with Yezreel, one of your favorite retainer. Your let's just say your mutual respect is about at the same level. And we'll be able to see hopefully how you gel in the field.
Oh boy. Hey, at least she seemed moderately. She didn't insult me about the Manticore thing. I don't know. Say she was impressed, but
I mean, the Manticore was a very intimidating creature, and judging from how she reacted on your test to become a bringer, she, like maybe she couldn't help but acknowledge that by her own standards that was a very brave thing to do. I mean, knowing her, she'll probably justify it in terms of foolhardiness, but nevertheless, that it was nice
yeah,
to see her not get petty about it.
it's an improve. You know what? I'll take any small improvement. Anyone.
That is a very, very good way
Little
of
step.
looking at it. And so that concludes session number 2. I'd like to thank everyone for watching. To remind you guys, we are on the social medias, at least intermittently. I'm at FlamFlynn on Twitter and FlynnFlam82 on Instagram. And Lisa, you are? Lisa?
As Hyena on Twitter, I forgot I had push to talk.
Oh gosh, I thought we were having another audio glitch like the infamous fake session 1. And of course, we do have a YouTube channel that has all of our prior episodes. You can find that at thedicepirates.com. All right. So long, everybody. Keep your flagons full and your dice warmed up.